the Spirit Sessions podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us, where I'll help you find your true spiritual home, where every single aspect of you is holy ground, holy ground, holy ground, holy ground.
This is a Spirit Session podcast with Katie Silcox. Venga chicos, empezamos.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hi everyone, Katie here. This podcast is intended to inspire you, educate you, and most importantly, support you on your journey towards knowing who you really are, that inner self, that inner teacher. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer professional health or medical advice on this podcast. If you are suffering from any kind of psychological or medical issue, please do the right thing and seek help from your qualified health professional. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spirit Sessions. Listen, it is spring. It is beautiful. It is not hot out. It is super cool. I'm coming to you from beautiful Virginia wine country. Today, I'm going to be answering a really common question that we get from students. And that question is, what is a Sankalpa, or why is it important to have one? And how do I know mine? So let's break down that word. Sankalpa is a really beautiful word. It's a commitment. It's a vow. It's sometimes thought of as what your heart really, really deeply wants. And when we talk about our intention, our aspiration, and our endeavor in our life, it can often get conflated with what I want to make happen or have happen or what I hope happens. And so a Sankalpa is not, I want to get married and have a baby and a Ferrari and a white picket fence. I mean, it could be that you make that your goal and you work towards it. And I would argue that there's nothing inherently bad about that or wrong. It's just, this is a totally different animal in the sense that your Sankalpa has the power to come true no matter what happens in your life. Because I think when we're young, we and unfortunately, I think our young people are even losing this sort of idealism of youth. But when we're young, it's like, yeah, all these great things, and this is going to be my life. And if I just work hard enough, this is what's going to happen. And there's an element to that that's really important that we cultivate in our young people. You need to work hard. You need to go towards what you want to create and be a part of. But that's like maybe food for another podcast. This is different. This is spiritual, if we could use that word. This is tapped into a deeper thread that is not connected to the circumstances, the ups and downs, and the karma that inevitably comes for us and towards us and that we have to go through. And so a Sankalpa is a heart vow about what this life actually means to you and where you want to move your energy and your life force. I'll tell you a quick story to kind of give you perhaps some ideas about your own intentions right now. Well, before I tell you that story, I'll just say, without having a clear intention when you sit down to meditate or when you practice or when you live, what will happen and what does happen and what will happen for all of us is that we go into our old reactivity patterns and we go into familiar ways of thinking and behaving and reacting that are often very similar to the ones that we grew up with. And so this really is not a small thing when we talk about intention. So years ago, I sat on the edge of the ocean and I launched a Sankalpa out into the world, and I'll share it with you. It was really powerful, and I meant it, and I stayed with it. And that intention was that in this life, I want to be as free from fear as possible. And in fact, I added one more word that I forgot to say, and that is I want to be as free from unnecessary fear, because sometimes fear is good, right? Like sometimes fear is good, right? It's a sign that there's a snake nearby that you should probably step away from. And there can be many forms of snakes in this world, right? So that was my intention. And I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be awesome, right? Like my intention is to be free from fear. So look at this like fearless life I'm going to get to experience. When in fact, by making that heartfelt intention, my higher self, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, was like, yeah, cool. Then that means that you're going to have to actually face all of your subconscious fears. And so once I had, and this is sort of where I'm sitting right now, once I had cleared out a lot of unnecessary fear, well, lo and behold, I got to see, oh, there's all this grief and sadness. And now I want to be as free as possible from that. And not that it's a linear thing, but as I kept going with that, I was like, oh, there's all this anger and hostility. And now the Sankalpa is I want to be as free from as much unnecessary anger and hostility as possible. And so my point with this is that if you really commit to the Sankalpa reveals the deeper Sankalpa, and the deeper and the deeper and the deeper. The Sankalpa will take you on a journey to its own deeper meaning. If the Sankalpa is a good one, if the Sankalpa is, I want to have as many handbags as possible, I suppose that will take you somewhere, and then you might realize that's not, that didn't work for getting to what the deeper heart of your longing is. So how is a Sankalpa related to my life purpose? And I think they're really intimately linked. I think people worry too much about figuring out what their purpose is in terms of their career or what they do, and not that we shouldn't really love. I mean, that's the ideal, right? That we really like and we're well suited is a better statement, that we're well suited for the way that we're serving the world. But I have watched so many people get really caught and stuck in the outer role or the way they live their day and miss out on the deeper Sankalpa. So start with the Sankalpa, and the daily life, the outer world will shift around that. So if you're currently in a job that you don't love and you want to make a change, we get a lot of people in our level 1 that are like, I want something different. I want to serve the world in a different way. Rather than worrying about how to make that happen per se, and of course you'll get to that, but really lean into this deeper purpose and meaning of what you want your life to be about. So in Tibetan Tantra, in Tantra in general, there's a beautiful word, and that word is to be in the endeavor. To be in the endeavor of these things. And so just take that in for a minute. I am in the endeavor. I am willing to be in the endeavor of, or I am in the endeavor of, or it is my aspiration, my heartfelt, truly authentic longing that. Then you fill in the blank. So it is my endeavor to, as I told you, to be as free as possible from unnecessary. And then I said fear, but really, as I explained, it's all these reactivity emotions, right? Anger, hostility, fear, unnecessary grief. That's what I resolved to. So when we make a heartfelt resolve, it is said that, I want to say this in a couple different ways. If you want to go kind of old school, it's like all the gods and goddesses show up for you. For those who are in the endeavor to awaken to everything that's repressed inside of them, it's like the gods go, yeah, hell yeah, and they start cheering and clapping and they run towards you. But you have to take the first step. The gods and goddesses are very polite. They won't just charge in. They're waiting on you, your permission, if you will. It is my intention to X, fill in the blank for you. And the question is often, well, I don't know. Okay. So you're at the last day of your life. You're laying in bed, or you're laying under the stars. It's your last day on earth. You're surrounded, if you're lucky, by people that have loved you. And now it's over. And you're going to breathe in, and then you're going to breathe out. And then you're just not going to breathe in again. What mattered? What did you not do? What really mattered that you did not feel, that you didn't awaken to, that you didn't, like, this isn't silly. Like, this is everything. Like, if you haven't contemplated your own death, there's no way you can tap in to this heart. We don't have forever. And so by knowing that truth of our impermanence, we can feel what the Sankalpa might be. What would you have regretted? And some things might come in of like, I need to have this conversation with someone, or write this letter, or forgive this person, or ask forgiveness. Like, all of that is super valid, and let that come. That's just super important downloads and insights. But keep going. Once you've forgiven everyone, and once you've told everyone what you've wanted to say, and once you've, and then you may be like, oh, well, I didn't go to Japan or Greece, or okay, get that, write that down. It's all good. Keep going deeper. And if you, obviously we're not going to do it together right now, but if you sit down and you just keep contemplating what didn't get woven into the fabric of this life, what is that empty space, you're going to keep going. And then once you've taken all the trips, and once you've that's a really good phrase, all right, taken all the trips. And once you've done all the worldly outer experiences, what wise people keep saying, and I hope to be one of them, and do feel this in myself right now, you start to take the inner trips, and the inner longings start to be way more juicy and important than any trip to Japan or outer experience that might be really great, that we should definitely have. But we start to get into more subtle longings. Why do you want to go to Japan? Why do you want to have a partner? Why do you want to start a business? And if you answer those questions, you get to the vibrational meat of what you actually want to open to. And if you just keep going and keep going and keep going with this exercise, usually you'll get down to 3 or 4 key things, and there's only really 3 or 4, and there may be only one, And I don't want to tell you what it is, but I'll tell you some hints. And that is, I want to know who I really am. So all the Sankalpas end in the same place, and I've seen it in myself and other people. Like, I don't want to get to the end of this life without feeling like I actually really loved myself and really cared and been tender with my own heart. So by my current Sankalpa, I want to remove any unnecessary fear, anger, and the really good word for it is hostility. Where is there harshness and hostility? I'm not like, oh, I have a great Sankalpa, but like it is. It's really, really, really good. Because think about it. Any unnecessary fear and harshness and grief that you don't need anymore is just melting away. And as that harshness starts to go, what I can tell you is that something else is there. And that's this thing that can't be spoken of. That's this thing that can only be experienced. And that open quality of the heart is kind of the best way I can put words to it, is the Sankalpa. To be open to everything that arises without harsh energy. So some of you are listening to this and you're like, dude, I just really want to do all these really cool big things. And that should be in the party, right? And maybe you can kind of label that as like lower level Sankalpas, the daily life. And we can't bypass that. We cannot. We have to live our lives. And there's nothing wrong with those really cool goals. But what's the bigger, deeper Sankalpa that you could still be fully embodying no matter what is going on in the outer world? Because you don't know. So if your Sankalpa is, I want 6 Ferraris and 8 concubines, well, if you get, hit by a car and you're in the hospital, you're not going to be able to do that. But you would be able to do the subtle Sankalpa of opening your heart to life, right? So these Sankalpas in their truest forms are unbounded by karma. In fact, they're the liberating factor for release from karma. So if you're like, oh my God, this is interesting, I want to do more, I want to go deeper, I want to let you know that the doors for level 1 are open. I've said it on the podcast before, I think we have 2 or 3 gifts left. If you are thinking of signing up, we have like 2 or 3 spots left to get all of your textbooks for free, where we will go on a big journey together and you will learn everything about Ayurveda. But our school is really about Sankalpa. The school is really about this deeper spirituality underneath all of the great practices for healing and self-care and living as long and healthy a life as possible. But why? Why do we want to live as long as possible? It's so that we can more fully embody the Sankalpa. So anyways, it'll be our 9th. Oh my God. This next year, 2026, this will be our 9th year running the year-long course. And I hope we make it to 10. I'm really proud of the way that my heart's longing has been a part of this beautiful experience. It's not an online course, by the way. It's a deep plug into a community, into an activation, into a vibration, into really an up-leveling and an upliftment that's real. And we do it live every year because it's a living thing. And so if you're interested in joining, I think one of the coolest clubs in the world, check out the links below. And if you're new to us, welcome. If you have been listening for a while, hello. I hope that you'll all take the time at the end of this to just do that exercise. Just go out, sit out in your backyard, go somewhere quiet, and imagine what your last day is like and what didn't you do that you wanted to do, and be as worldly with it as you want. Like, I didn't get to buy this car, I didn't get to, let that all come through. It needs to, but as you keep going deeper, just keep getting to the essence. And then once you're there, you'll have this really neat intention. And as I said before, when you sit down to practice, whether it be 1 minute or an hour of prayer or meditation or devotion or, whatever your spiritual practice looks like 1 millisecond of deeply connecting to that intention from a real place activates a lot of spiritual support in your life. And you'll see it'll start to happen through dreams, through symbols, signs, omens, phone calls. Connecting to that intention awakens a whole infinite web of support. And so that's really cool. I hope that you have a wonderful spring, and I hope that we see you in the classroom soon in Shakti School. A big special thanks to Kevin Carlisle of Goodbye Gemini, who wrote this beautiful podcast music, and to DJ Juan Pablo Jimenez in southern Spain for mixing it and making it magic.